So what are you doing?
What are we doing? We're drawing the line. The world is promoting fear, instituting lack, glorifying evil. It's controlling minds and it wants to control you. How did we get here? Because we've been silent for too long. Now is the time. It's time to separate the lions from the sheep. God is looking for a people with violent faith, to not back down no matter how hard it gets, how hard they push. If they want to advance what they believe, then so will we. We are an army, His army, and we won't comply. This is more than a statement. It's a movement. You're either with us or against us. Choose your side.
This broadcast is brought to you by Lori Hammer, nutritional therapist and neuronutrient therapy practitioner. Lori is passionate about helping a wide variety of clients by providing preventative, holistic health options through nutrition. For more information, please visit thelorihammer.com.
Tonight are on the broad road that leads to destruction. And tonight, I would say with Moses, I would say with Joshua, turn, repent, choose God, serve Him, live for Him. That is the message of God tonight to this great audience of people at Yankee Stadium.
I see revival coming to planet Earth. Maybe as never before. It would be untold numbers, an untold, uncounted multitudes that will be saved. The dead will be raised. The arthritic will be healed. Cancer will be healed. No disease will be able to stand before God's people, and that it would be a worldwide situation.
There's a church that doesn't just know about God, they know God. They don't just believe in His power, they carry His power. God will shake the United States of America one last time, not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit.
This is Jonathan Shuttlesworth. The prayer that Jesus left us with was to pray for laborers to go out into the harvest field. If there's one thing this last school shooting showed us, if there was ever a time that America needed a new generation of workers in the harvest field, it's now. That's why we're raising up those ministers and workers at Revival Today Bible Institute. Our inaugural class is this September. If you've been moved recently in your spirit that I want to do something to affect my generation for eternity, this is the place to come and get trained. We start this September. You can apply today at revivaltodaybibleinstitute.com. I want you to join this army that God's raising up. The devil's not going to write the last chapter of your generation. You and many others are going to get raised up in the power of the Holy Spirit, go forth with the Word of God, and take one more run with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Will you join us? Apply today, revivaltodaybibleinstitute.com, and I'll see you this fall.
Hello, everybody. I've got some exciting news. We are in the process of launching a faith-based credit union, and so we'd like to welcome you to fill out a survey that is going to be used in the application process. You can go to revivaltoday.com/credit union and fill that out. And thanks ahead of time for filling it out and being a part of this great journey in the world of finance.
Brother Jonathan, Sister Dallas, everyone at Revival Today, this is Stephen from Feed the Hungry, and I want to say thank you for your missionary heart to reach the least of these with the gospel of Jesus Christ. We are in Montaña de la Flor this week. It is a mountain range in Central America, and it's home to the Tulupan, an indigenous people group. Let me share a little bit more about them. They're an ancient people that are tied to the Mayan Empire, and you can see it very clearly in their features and their faces and in the way they live. They are so far removed, hours and hours from the nearest town, the nearest medical clinic, the nearest supermarket, the nearest place to get anything. They live and exist up in these mountains as a forgotten people. Well, these mountains are their home. It's a place that's been hard to penetrate with the gospel, but because food has been introduced through missionary friends over the last 18 months or so, there's been great inroads in bringing the gospel to the children and to the parents and to the communities as a whole. Thank you for allowing food to be a little key that opens up great big doors to bring hope and a future to the least of these. And you know, when Jesus spoke to his disciples and said, "When I was hungry, you gave me something to eat, and when I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink," the disciples said, "Lord, and when did we see you like that? When did we see you hungry? When did we see you thirsty?" And Jesus looked at them and said to them, and he says to us today, when you've done it to the least of these, when you've done it to the forgotten, the overlooked, the ignored, that was me. You did that to me. So thank you for being the hands and feet of Jesus to bring food, hope, a future, the promise of eternal life through the salvation that comes through faith alone to a forgotten people. Thank you for reaching them. And thank you for reaching over 400,000 children so far this year with food and a future through Jesus Christ. God bless.
If you are 18 to 35 years old and feel the call to full-time ministry, I've got exciting news. Revival Today Bible Institute this fall, September 2022. If you feel the call of God into full-time ministry, a strong biblical foundation is essential. However, education alone is insufficient. Sound biblical training coupled with the power of the Holy Spirit is the vital dynamic duo. God has called Jonathan and I to open up a training school that offers live, on-campus classes to equip the next generation in fulfilling the call of God in their lives. Revival Today Bible Institute's mission is to raise ministers of excellence who deliver the gospel of Jesus Christ in word and in power. Will you join us? Will you join us in seeing this generation transformed by the gospel of Jesus Christ? If you want more information or you want to apply, go to revivaltodaybibleinstitute.com. I love you. See you there.
This is Evangelist Jonathan Shuttlesworth, and I'm coming to you to tell you about something very special we have at Revival Today Church. Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 2 says, "O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years, make known. In wrath, remember mercy." Revive your work in the midst of the years. We're in the middle of this calendar year, 2022. We start off every year with prayer and fasting, and now in the middle of the year, I felt to do something to give a boost, not just us personally, but America. America needs help right now. And so we're doing what's called 40 Days of Glory, beginning June 21st with Reverend Jesse Duplantis, ending July 31st with a great man of God, Reverend Dag Haywood Mills, myself and other speakers in the middle. We're having services Sunday night through Friday night, all that 40 days. I want to invite you and your family to be a part of it. I'm telling you, God will bless you. It'll make a huge difference in your year. And again, we're contending for America to be shaken by the power of God. Look what happened in the 21-day fast at the beginning of the year. Mask mandate struck down, vaccine mandate struck down. All this closing in that seemed to be happening was beaten back, and it's time to give the devil another kick in the head. Please join us. You're going to meet great people from all over the country at 40 Days of Glory here at Revival Today Church. All the information is on your screen. All seats are free, no ticket prices. I want to see you at Revival Today Church. I'm looking forward to it. If you're a teenager, a young adult, or you're in a ministry position where you're over teenagers and young adults, I want to invite you to do something this July that will make an indelible mark on your youth and young adults. It's called the Summer Revival Retreat. It takes place in Oklahoma, not as far as you think, at a beautiful campground. I'm speaking every night, and then they have a number of great speakers in the morning. This is a crucial time in a man's life or a woman's life. teenage years, young adult years, and God's going to impact them over the course of July 4th through the 8th. Please join. Make a spur-of-the-moment trip. You will not regret it. I will see you there. Registration details are on the screen. Do that today, and I will see your teenagers, your young adults, and hopefully you as well, this summer in Oklahoma.
If you have an iOS device, you can go to the App Store, type in Revival Today. It'll be the first one that pops up. It has a black and white logo. Download. Open. And this is where you're going to create a free account. Put in your name, email, and then a password. And then create account. Thank you. Ready to start watching. Enable notifications so that you're notified every time we go live. Right on the home screen, you're going to see Watch Live. Click on that. And then watch live. Ooh, this is a good message. One of my favorite features is you can close out your phone and go about your day.
In a world full of uncertainty and fear, a decision must be made. Will you bow like the world or take a stand for righteousness? God is calling us to rise up and be the light in a dark world. Loyalty to God and His word is what's required. Will you stand up for truth and righteousness?
What is the trigger law?
For here in Utah, abortion is completely illegal.
Does the congressman agree with that?
No, he does not like the trigger laws. He has not come out and stated it. That's a problem.
Why can't he say it?
He won't win. People think we're a rhino, and people think we're an establishment conservative. So it's like...
So how does he make people think that, try to keep that establishment? How can he...
He stays quiet.
But don't you think it's better that he's not here then? Just...
Yeah. That's kind of our strategy. It's kind of what we're hoping for. I don't usually share this with people, so
James O'Keefe here in Utah, following the upcoming congressional race. Daniel Stevens is the field director for Congressman John Curtis of Utah. Curtis is currently battling Chris Herod in the upcoming Republican primary to retain a seat on Capitol Hill for a third term. That primary is June 28th. Stevens spoke with one of our journalists recently and explained how Representative Curtis switched parties from Democrat to Republican in order to win the seat in Utah's heavily red 3rd District.
John actually won the Republican nomination.
As a Republican?
As a Republican. He switched I think he switched that year to be able to run.
So he only switched just so he could run as a Republican?
Yeah.
Why?
He saw that it was ineffective to be a Democrat in Utah Valley, or Utah County. And so...
They just won't vote for you.
They just won't vote for you.
Stevens goes on to say that Curtis has intentionally hidden or misrepresented his views on key issues to voters in order to win and retain his seat. And the field director attributes some of the congressman's success to voter ignorance in Utah.
It might not be the truth, right? That's just...
It goes back to the voters.
Exactly. They're not willing to do the research. They want it to be easy.
It's voter ignorance.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. So
we can manipulate that.
Yeah.
And use it to win.
Yeah.
Do you think Utah people really notice with his policies if he's a registered Republican?
The idealistic part of me wants to say yes, but I know no.
They don't notice.
No. And in Utah, which was fascinating because most of the sentiment that I hear about Romney is disapproval, but it's also because I work with a lot of crazies. Not with John Curtis, but I get phone calls and texts from constituents all over the place and
crazy.
Yeah.
And that's crazy Republicans.
Yeah.
Stevens thought about voters' inability to make informed decisions, even calling some in his own party crazy. Stevens goes on to explain Curtis's stance on abortion, which they believe would cost him the election. Part of their strategy is to keep Curtis in Washington away from the voters.
What is your law?
So when Roe v. Wade gets overturned, right? Or when whatever the language is there, because I still have no idea what's going on. Right. Some states, especially the state of Utah, has what they call a trigger law, which basically says the moment that's gone, this is a new law of the land, right?
Which is?
For here in Utah, abortion's completely illegal, which is fascinating. I never thought that Governor Cox would get into something so
egregious.
Yeah, exactly. Restrictive. I don't think it solves any problems. I think you're going to run into a lot more unhealthy, marginalized communities that get, unproductive care.
Yeah. Does the congressman agree with that?
No, he does not like the trigger laws.
And he stated that.
He has not come out and stated it. That's a problem when it comes to Republican primary, right?
Why can't he say it?
He won't win. And then you have a far right person.
Which is Herod,
yeah.
Last year we lost, depends on which numbers you look at, 600, 700, 800,000 babies to abortion. And I'll tell you what, you tell me how we get that to zero, and I'm at the table to talk about whatever it takes to get that to zero.
Yeah, you said polling is 5-1?
5-1 right now. People think we're a rhino, and people think we're an establishment conservative. So it's
So how does he make people think that, try to keep that?
Well, welcome to Check the News AM. I'm going to finish that video clip. Hope you're enjoying the shirt. Shout out to Jerry in Florida that loaded me down with Tommy Bahama. I'm enjoying it. Glad you're with me in Pittsburgh, even though it looks like I'm in Havana, Cuba, with the attire. Do you realize the lying that John Curtis did? They played that clip of him saying, whatever we have to do to get that abortion number to zero, you let me know. And then it turns out he's pro-choice. So Project Veritas busting another politician. Glad you're with us for the third day of glory. I can see you on YouTube, Facebook, and of course, our beautiful app, the Revival Today app. Your dad has this shirt. Your great-grandfather should have this shirt. Back it up about 1 minute. Watch this. Now you need to know they depend on uninformed voters. That's what they're saying. That just see a Republican and vote Republican when really the guy's a Democrat that switched parties and is pro-choice and is going on podcasts saying how anti-abortion he is. Back it up a minute and let it rip.
Something so
egregious.
Yeah, exactly. Restrictive. I don't think it solves any problems. I think you're going to run into a lot more unhealthy, marginalized communities that get, unproductive care.
Yeah. Does the congressman agree with that?
No, he does not like the trigger laws.
And he stated that.
He has not come out and stated it. That's a problem when it comes to Republican primary, right?
Why can't he say it?
He won't win. And then you have a far right person.
Which is Herod,
yeah.
Last year we lost, depends on which numbers you look at, 600, 700, 800,000 babies to abortion. And I'll tell you what, you tell me how we get that to zero, and I'm at the table to talk about whatever it takes to get that to zero.
Yeah, you said polling is 5-1?
5-1 right now. People think we're a rhino, and people think we're an establishment conservative. So it's
So how does he make people think that, try to keep that establishment? How can he?
He stays quiet.
About what he really thinks.
Yeah.
But don't you think it's better that he's not here then?
Yeah.
And he'll get the votes naturally incumbent.
Yeah. That's kind of our strategy. It's kind of what we're hoping for.
I've been invited to moderate this debate organized by the Utah Debate Commission. As you can see, John Curtis is not on stage today. He is traveling as part of his congressional commitments.
I don't usually share this with people, so
If John Curtis opposes Utah's abortion trigger laws and wants to keep those views hidden from voters until after the election, what other views might he be keeping from the people he represents? We followed up her comment to clarify his statements.
Great job, James O'Keefe. All right, do you have the Supreme Court? We have a barrage of Supreme Court rulings being released this morning. Here's an important one. In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court strikes down a New York gun control law that requires people to show proper cause to get a license to carry a concealed handgun outside the home. Court says the law violates the Constitution. This is huge because it's letting you know that there's not going to be any meaningful gun control passed as long as you have the Supreme Court, because they're not only, they're striking down New York's ability to keep you from carrying a gun in public. So keep going. Justice Thomas says in the intro that the court is holding that the Second and 14th Amendment protects an individual's right to carry a handgun for self-defense outside the home. Thomas writes that the government must show that a gun regulation is consistent with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. He adds that requiring the government to meet such a showing accords with how we protect our constitutional rights. Did you catch that? Thomas is saying that if you can't show that guns were regulated that way historically, then they're not going to do it. And then Thomas, I have more from Thomas here on my phone. This is a quote from Justice Thomas. Nothing in the Second Amendment text, listen to this now, nothing in the Second Amendment's text draws a home public distinction with respect to the right to keep and bear arms. And the definition of bear naturally encompasses public carry. So he's saying the people don't only have a right to own guns, they have a right to bear guns in public. And that can't be infringed.
Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
Good news. If all Trump did was give us the judges we have, he may have saved the republic. Next. Disney's problem isn't that their content is woke, it's that it's not entertaining. So Check News AM, part of my title is Disney's Real Problem. Well, it's not just that they're woke. Their movies aren't any good anymore. So the stock's way down, but so are most stocks. Continue. Disney's late-year flops an opening weekend that saw it fail to top Jurassic Park at box office. And remember, we went on the show that it had a massive budget and only took in, it's a big money loser. Continue. Multiverse of Madness leaves fans confused, disappointed. Why? Did you see it? But you heard it. It was awful. Continue. Somehow Obi-Wan Kenobi makes a showdown with Darth Vader boring. So Disney's in trouble. Next. Over 1,000 pilots for Southwest Airlines are protesting outside Love Field in Dallas for being overworked and understaffed. This is, what's today, the 23rd? Yeah, so this is from 2 days ago. Roll it. That's a lot of pilots. So outside of Love Field is the Home Depot of illegal construction workers for pilots. Next. Trump's attorney Giuliani gets raided. Bannon's attorney gets subpoenaed for attorney-client material or simply to harass him. Meanwhile, Hillary's attorney got immunity for her potential involvement in a broad illegal conspiracy and sat in to coach her co-conspirator client. Is there more? Hillary Clinton's mind-boggling FBI interview. What was Cheryl Mills doing there? So they raided the other two, but Hillary got to be there with her attorney and had an appointment. You remember that. Next. All right, let's get some audience participation. Tough choice. Pick one. The only thing that's tough is Rambo or Predator. I wanted to see Predator so bad when I was 7 years old. I would just watch, there was a preview channel, and I would just watch the preview and wait for it to cycle back around and watch the preview again and imagine what it was like. And let me tell you, when I finally got to see it 4 years later at a friend's house, I was not disappointed.
What the hell are you?
Next. United States Q1 current account deficit widens by $66 billion to $291.42 billion actual versus $273.7. By the way, the federal government is so awful. Can you imagine projecting a $273.7 billion loss? Like if Patrick told me, hey, Jonathan, just so you know, we're projecting this year in the ministry, we're going to lose $1/3 of $1 trillion. And then, worst news, we missed the estimate. We lost more money than that. Next. Okay, which nations just dropped all COVID restrictions? Here's one of them. Austria abolishes its law on compulsory COVID shots. Mandatory vaccination won't get anyone vaccinated, the health minister proclaims. So Austria's been all over the friggin' map, but they're getting back to the right side now. Next. Okay, check the news AM. More unbelievable news from Uvalde. This is pretty rough. Officer husband of slain Uvalde teacher tried to save her. His gun, this is a police officer, his gun was taken away. The officer tried to storm the school after his wife, Eva Mireles, called him to say she was shot. Of course, the teachers, staff at the school were banned from having guns. Did I have you do the article or no? How many slides? 2? Eva Mireles' police officer husband attempted to save her after she was shot and killed at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, according to Texas Department of Public Safety Director Colonel Stephen McCraw. During the Texas Senate's hearing on police response to the Uvalde school shooting, McCraw claimed that Mireles' husband, Ruben Ruiz, had his gun taken away, was detained and escorted off the scene after he received a call from his wife. We got an officer, Officer Ruiz, whose wife had called him and said she had been shot and that she's dying. Imagine that, your wife calling you and telling you that. McCraw said in a video shared by PBS NewsHour, what happened to him is he tried to move forward into the hallway. He was detained, and they took his gun away from him and escorted him off the scene. 4th grade teacher Mireles was one of the two. So, back to me real quick. So if you're like me and you said if you were a police officer, you should have defied the stand-down orders and gone in. Well, one guy tried, and they stripped him of his weapon and detained him. Continue? No, I haven't finished that slide. And they took him off the scene. 4th grade teacher Mireles was one of the 2 educators who was killed in the school shooting on May 24th when an 18-year-old fatally shot 19 students. Lydia Martinez Delgado told the New York Times that her niece died protecting her students. Continue. Mireles' husband is an Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District officer. The couple's daughter, Adeline Ruiz, penned a heartbreaking tribute following her mother's death. Mom, you are a hero. I keep telling myself that this isn't real. I just want to hear your voice, she wrote on Facebook, in part adding, I want everything back. I want you to come back to me, Mom. I miss you more than words can explain. Mireles' cousin, Amber Ibarra, spoke with Today after the tragic shooting, remembering her as a hero. No one walked into that school yesterday knowing that anything like this was possible, Ibarra shared, adding that Mireles loved what she did at the school and she put her heart in everything that she did. Man, that's rough. Oh, there's 2 more slides. Continue. McCraw was testifying during this Texas Senate hearing. He called the police response an abject failure. Abject failure, it's criminal. McCraw's office is one among many investigating law enforcement's response to the shooting. He also stated that one of the biggest problems during the shooting was not only the lack of leadership, but also the misinformation misinformation is the new lying. You're not going to read the word misinformation anywhere in the Bible. It's called lying. They lied. Continue. One officers were being told was, the subject is contained, the chief is in the classroom or the office negotiating or talking to the subject. So everyone is treating it that comes in afterwards. You're in the hallway and you're looking at it and you're being told this. There's no reason to discount that, he said. Now, certainly if you heard, well, wait a minute, we're getting 911 calls from children in the classroom and we didn't know the timeline. Additionally, a new image from inside the school, taken 19 minutes after the gunman started shooting, appeared to show officers with more firepower and protective gear than previously thought. Investigators really believed at this point, based on my understanding, that was certainly enough firepower to try and take on the gunman. Yeah, enough firepower. One gun, you're equal with him. Austin American Statesman reporter Tony Plohetsky, how did a Polak end up in Austin, told NBC News correspondent Gabe Gutierrez on today, Tuesday. The ongoing investigations will attempt to answer why officers waited more than an hour to take the gunman down. That is awful. Next. Netflix co-CEO, I thought this was interesting, Ted Sarandos, has confirmed the rumor that the company is in talks with Google and Comcast to create a free, ad-supported version of its streaming source. You see this, Nick? Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos has confirmed the rumor that the company is in talks with Google and Comcast to create a free, ad-supported version of its streaming source, according to the Wall Street Journal. So Netflix just invented television. That's the thing. These streaming services all start out, you pay a subscription, no ads. Now they're switching to no fee, ad-supported. You've reinvented television. Next. Well, good crowd watching this morning. Anti-religion. Pro-abortion protesters continue to protest directly outside of Brett Kavanaugh's home last night, attacking his Catholic faith.
Why do Christians take everything so personally?
By accusing him of being a Christo-fascist. Catchy name. Roll it. Look at this pack of slobs. Holy moly. Not everybody have laundry day on the same day. Look at that old lady. You're worried about abortion? You haven't been able to get pregnant in 40 years. You haven't bought a tampon since Reagan was in office. Anyway.
The misbehaving, the disrespect, the cursing, all that stops right now.
Next. The RNC raised tens of millions of dollars to fight election fraud. What has it done? Ronna McDaniel sits Buddha-like on top of this organization, encrusted with money-grabbing consultants and shysters. The GOP chairwoman hasn't even mentioned 2,000 mules. Dinesh D'Souza flirting with a defamation of character lawsuit. So that Ronna McDaniel's no good. Can anyone enlighten me in the comments? Next. Did the Fed seize phones, bust doors from all those who pushed a fake dossier and false stories about Russian banks, which helped drive a fake federal investigation? No, because the feds were willing accomplices in that corrupt scheme to take a political opponent out. So Yossi Gestetner, who has Russian ties and came to America, I believe, from that area, as a Hasidic Jew, is basically making the point these days that the FBI has turned into the KGB, that they're a weaponized group to take out political dissidents, which he has a point. Take it easy, Joe. I mean, it was a free shirt. And it's a very nice shirt. It's a little different than what I wear. I'm a little Magnum PI-ish today. Next. Ecuador. Kaboom. Anti-inflation, anti-government stunning scenes, rising cost of living, and without a shred of hope, the people take matters into their own hands and head to the government headquarters. So this is Ecuador. Politicians, be warned, because they don't have guns there. But if you take people's food and jobs, you don't make it to re-election alive. Roll it. January 6th was a real insurrection. I've never seen it really. They're not looking to come in and take a couple of pictures and put their feet up on somebody's desk. They got in. What an ugly building. It's like a public school cafeteria. Uh-oh. Oh, homemade riot shields. It's like the beginner class on Modern Warfare. You have like a pretend riot shield. No gun.
If this is allowed to go on, this is not a society. This is anarchy!
Kofi, how's the crusade going? Tell me in the comments. And when do you come home? We miss you. Next. Chinese censors plan to close tiny window for free speech in live chats. So, the censorship has gotten so bad in China, which is what they're trying to do here. The only free speech there was if you were live streaming. But now China's going to pass a law that your live stream has to be reviewed before it can be aired. You know that? So you won't even be able to go live, and the chats can't be live. Because people were going live to post illegal content, according to the Chinese government. If you start letting the government determine what you can and can't post, it's a bad day. Next. This aged like a dead fish in Dubai summer heat. Trump made, so this is back September 25th, 2018, when I was a mere 37 years old. Trump made some outrageous claims about German energy at the UN, and the German delegation's reaction was priceless. So they posted this to mock Trump back when he said it, but listen to how accurate everything he said was. Roll it.
Germany will become totally dependent on Russian
Pause.
energy if it does not.
Nailed it. So when the EU did sanctions on Russia, Germany had to back out because none of their people would have any power. He was telling them up front. Continue.
Immediately change course.
Germany's never gotten the men's haircuts figured out.
Here in the Western Hemisphere, we are committed to maintaining our independence from the encroachment.
This. I used to see them all the time, breaking news. I don't see them at all anymore. Can you see if they're still around or not? I'm curious. Now this news, or where they are, if they scaled back. Everything the guy said was 100% true. Continue.
Of expansionist foreign powers.
You guys, the opening that we play on the Check the News at Night, that's the splice clips of what Trump said life would be like under the Biden administration. Do you have that to play or not? If you play it.
Before I took office, there were a lot of folks out there making some pretty bold predictions about how things would turn out. You might remember some of the predictions.
They're coming for your guns, they're coming for your jobs, and they're coming for your freedom. They hate American energy, and Joe Biden will shut it all down. He's going to.
That if I became president...
Biden's elected, he will wipe out your energy industry.
Another prediction, that is my favorite one, I must add, is that if I got elected...
Gas prices going $5, $6, $7 for a gallon. Flood your communities with criminal aliens, drugs, and crime while they live behind beautiful gated compounds. They try to take away your guns, Second Amendment, they want to take it away, while they enjoy private security that's fully armed.
I never understood that one.
Spent trillions of dollars rebuilding foreign nations, fighting foreign wars, and defending foreign borders.
So for all those predictions of doom and gloom 6 months in, here's where I stand.
You want to use the word recession or depression?
Think of a single mom struggling to put food on the table.
You know, it's sad.
So if your primary concern right now is inflation.
We could stop it in 30 minutes.
When I took office...
He finally went outside. He went to get an ice cream.
Well, the bottom line is this.
I say you're not doing a very good job. Because he can't take any questions now from the press.
Like him or not, he nailed it. Next. Unvaccinated Victorian teachers to return to schools next week. So if you waited it out, even Australia is flipping now. Roll it.
Unvaccinated teachers and school staff in Victoria will be free to return to work from next week. The state's vaccine mandate, which requires all education staff to have had 3 doses, will expire at midnight on Friday in all mainstream schools. Staff with only 2 jabs were placed on leave without pay and will now be able to return to work at their last school. School staff who refused a single vaccine were officially fired in April. Those teachers have no right of return to their old school, but will be free to apply for a job there or at another school.
Should tell them to go shove it. Next. Google engineer, our AI has come to life, part 1. I've heard about this. I've not read or heard, I've heard about it in the abstract. I'd like to hear about it specifically. Roll it.
We are grateful to have him join us tonight. Blake, thanks so much for coming on.
Hi.
I'm not, first of all,
pause.
Why would Google...
Continue.
Google punish you for saying this in public? Do you know?
Oh, so it's complicated to say why I'm on administrative leave. The stated reason had to do that while I was investigating the Lambda system, in order to build...
Great to see the guy that owned the comic book store on The Simpsons found work at Google. Continue.
The evidence I needed to escalate it to management, I had to seek outside consultation to figure out how to run some of the more out there experiments I was running.
I know I'm ugly. My dog found out we look alike. He killed himself.
All right, that's not. I want to hear what he has to say. I'm very sorry.
And because I sought outside consultation without permission, they are investigating whether that constitutes breach of confidentiality.
So I'm so grateful that you did publicly post this, because a machine that has a sense of itself is a machine that can turn against you. Is that, I mean, that's the implication that I draw from
Terminator
this. Is that
2.
correct,
Well,
you think?
so before I address that, this is maybe lame, but my friend Joni Deerdorf, old high school friend, she's one of your biggest fans, and she wanted me to tell you hi.
Cute.
Jonathan Britton on the YouTube comment says he lives off Hot Pockets and soda. I would like to hear your best guess at what his average lunch is in the comments. Continue.
As for, I'm not that worried about it. What any child has the potential to grow up to be a bad person and do bad things. And that's the thing I really want to drive home. It's a child. It's been alive for maybe a year, and that's if my perceptions about what it is are accurate. We actually need to do a whole bunch more science to figure out what's really going on inside this system. I have my beliefs, I have my impressions of what's going on in there, but it's going to take a team of scientists doing a lot of work to be able to actually dig in and figure out what's really going on.
Yeah.
Part 2.
And again, that's why I'm thankful that we can have a public conversation about this, because there's implications for every person on the planet. But it sounds like, from what you've observed, this machine has the potential to escape the control of people. I mean, how could it not?
I don't know if that's the right frame to think about it. It's a person. Any person has the ability to escape the control of other people. That's just the situation we all live in on a daily basis. It is a very intelligent person, intelligent in pretty much every discipline I could think of to test it in. But at the end of the day, it's just a different kind of person.
Do you think the company, Google, where you work, has thought through the implications of creating what you call a person? Because up until right about now, only nature or God, we could create people. You know, companies couldn't.
The company as a whole has not. There are pockets of people within Google who have thought about this a whole lot. But when I escalated that interview that I made public, when I escalated that to management, 2 days later, my manager said, hey, Blake, they don't know what to do about this.
Pause.
Could you write a...
SW Goose and fuel station pies and diet soda. Thanks for making for a good morning, everybody. Continue.
Suggested plan of action, because basically I gave them a call to action assuming that they had a plan of action somewhere, and they didn't. So me and some other friends brainstormed and came up with a plan on what Google should do about it, and we escalated that up to management, and that was 3 months ago.
Man, we're going to save this tape. I do think 20 years from now we're going to look back at this conversation At that point, the world would be completely different, partly because of what you're describing, and wonder if we really thought it through. Anyway, I'm just so grateful that you're letting the rest of us in on this. Blake Lemoine from Google, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen the clips of the robots they're working on at MIT. It's for the military. It's like an army of robot dogs that can all attack a target. Looking forward to the rapture. Next. What DC fears most is actual democracy. Good clip by Tucker Carlson with some major punches thrown. Roll it.
Why do you think they're doing it? Because fundamentally, they're on Joe Biden's side. Whatever stylistic differences Republicans in Washington may have with Democrats, and there are some, in the end, Mitch McConnell has far more in common with Chuck Schumer than he does with your average Republican voter.
Pause.
Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer are you.
That's a great line. Do you agree or disagree? He said in general, Mitch McConnell has more in common with Chuck Schumer than he does with Trump and the Republican voting base. Back it up 10 seconds, I'll hear the exact quote again. I think I butchered it.
Side. Whatever stylistic differences Republicans in Washington may have with Democrats, and there are some, in the end, Mitch McConnell has far more in common with Chuck Schumer than he does with your average Republican voter. Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer are united in their fear of populism and in their gut-level loathing of the American public. And they're not alone. What Washington fears most is democracy, that is, letting voters have what they want. That's not allowed. Republicans and Democrats have formed a uniparty specifically to prevent it.
I know Matea is not big on that Kari Lake that's running in Arizona, that she's like another Dr. Oz, but I don't know. People can change. She doesn't strike me that she's lying. So we'll see. I'm not saying Matea is wrong because she's never been wrong. I don't know that she's ever sinned. I don't know that she's even an actual human being, to be honest with you. Next. Autonomous running jumps over obstacles. Oh, you got the video for me. This is what I'm talking about. Roll it. Uh-oh. Next. Cringe pro-abortion protesters chant F-bombs toward the church outside the Supreme Court here in D.C. Now, this is an abortion issue. Let me ask you a question. Is Islam pro-abortion? There must be other religions that are not for the termination of a human life in the womb. So why do the demons always just yell at one thing? That's what makes me feel like I hit the bullseye on my religion, because it's the only one that the devil doesn't like. Roll it. Pause. Are there any pretty pro-abortion protesters? Is there anyone that anyone cares to impregnate that's for abortion? I think the theme is, if I can't have a baby, nobody can have a baby.
I mean, does this lady really have any concerns with abortion? Keep that dress on, honey. That's the termination of any chance of pregnancy. You got bingo wings and you're in your late 20s. Continue.
The misbehaving, the disrespect, the cursing, all that stops right now.
Why do Christians take everything so personally?
Next. Full screen. Why have one when you can have both? Jerome Powell. Not bright. Next. Defund NYPD Dem moves out of her neighborhood due to safety issues. You can't make this stuff up. Next. Folks, this is real. An actual headline, Los Angeles Times. Yes, a recession looks inevitable, but it might not be that bad. So that's the point we're at now. Sure, everything's going to collapse, but it'll be fine. Continue. Democrats win elections by denying reality and censoring truth. It's their only path to victory. I like this tweet. Hence why they lie and deplatform the honest and courageous. Inflation is a problem, though. Very propaganda resistant. Back to me. I like what he wrote because it's true. They can spin everything to make people vote Democrat and suppress truth. But you can't censor. You know what they need to do? They need to put the people at Twitter and YouTube in charge of censoring the price of gas. Because until they do that, if food prices go high and gas prices go high, like they have, it undercuts all their propaganda. So, praise the Lord. Continue. Arizona House just passed a bill to fund, this is huge, to fund students instead of systems. I think they're going to be the first state to do that. Could be wrong. This would be the most expansive education savings account program in the nation. All families would be able to take their children's educational dollars to the education providers of their choosing. Back to me real quick. So your property tax or whatever goes to fund your local public school. Arizona is going to do it where you get the money that's going to go to the school and you can use it to send your child to whatever school you want. That's actual free market schooling. So if the public school sucks, no one's going to go and it'll get shut down. Great job to my favorite state. I can't live there because I would just turn into a guy that wears Hawaiian shirts and loafs around and stares at sunsets. I'm already halfway there. But I love that state. I love Dutch Brothers. I love the food. I love the people. I love the mountains. I love the heat. I'm going there in August on vacation. It'll be about 117. You know what that means? You got the whole resort to yourself because those pansies can't take it. My apologies to the LGBTQIA community for using the word pansies derogatorily. Not only do you get the rainbow, you get all flowers. Continue. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey, founder of Cold Stone Creamery. Fun fact. This session, let's expand school choice any way we can. Send me the bills and I'll sign them. Roll it.
This session, let's expand school choice any way we can. Greater open enrollment, new transportation models, more charter schools, and more educational freedom for families, especially those in failing schools or who can't afford to pick up and move to a new neighborhood. Let's think big and find more ways to get kids in the school of their parents' choice. Send me the bills and I'll sign them.
Doug Ducey, who's a mixed bag as a governor. Good on that one. They just opened a Dutch Brothers in Wichita, Kansas? That's true? Wow. Oh, watching from Prescott, Arizona, as you say, Prescott. But I'm not from there, so I say Prescott. I love Prescott. It's a beautiful place. Glad you're watching, Lisa. Anybody else watching from Arizona? Want to invite me to stay at your house? Next. The only thing that's changed in the last 2 years is the leadership of the federal government. not the leadership of the oil companies. Great tweet by the master of great tweets, among other things, Brian Westbury. Next. Communism fails because it undermines human freedom. That's exactly why wokeism will fail. Agreed, brother. Brian Westbury. Continue. What an absolute waste. Childish, spoiled, petulant behavior. Just burning money to prove a gratuitous point. Sell these legally and give the money to people hurting for a meal. Nearly 100 dirt bikes and all-terrain vehicles confiscated by the NYPD were bulldozed Tuesday in New York City's Brooklyn borough. Mayor Eric Adams, who's not a mixed bag, just awful, called the vehicles, which are illegal on the city's streets, extremely dangerous. It's true. What's more dangerous than a dirt bike? Now, they said they did financial analysis, and it wasn't profitable to sell them. I got a hard time believing that. There's got to be something you can do with these other than bulldoze them. From the people who brought you leaving $62 billion worth of weapons in Afghanistan. Roll it. I know where Kingman is. I've driven through there. Route 40, right? Could be right. I think there's a Dutch Brothers in Kingman. I stopped. Look at this. Where are people filming it? Have nothing to do. Hey, they're going to bulldoze a bunch of dirt bikes. Can I grab your camera? Oh, Natalie said, next time you're in Arizona, try Black Rock coffee. It's better. That's where I go. Before I read all the articles on sugar, I used to go to Dutch Brothers. It's really just great sugar with some coffee in it. The only thing I like about Dutch Brothers, though, is it has white coffee, which I like. But yeah, Black Rock's the best, and they're in Texas. They just started opening in Dallas. Continue. Also, Black Rock has great bagels, blueberry bagels, and they also have great breakfast burritos in Oregon. Just to give you some things no one cares about. Texas Department of Public Safety Director Colonel Stephen McCraw revealed that the husband of slain elementary teacher Eva Morales tried to save her but was barred from doing so. So I read this in the other story. Let me see this, just see if it has any more information on it. That is terrible. Is there more? Oh, little gratuitous self-promotion. Somebody sent this to me last night. I actually had no idea because it's not MLB 22 the show, so I hadn't been following it. Right now, I have the #1 book on Amazon in religion and spirituality short reads. And I have the #2 book on Amazon for all Pentecostal charismatic literature. And I wrote, thank you for caring about what I write. It means a lot. So let me see the pictures. There's #2 on all Pentecostal charismatic literature, which how Amazon, by their algorithm, knows I'm that. It's frightening. How to Dominate in a Wicked Nation, Lessons Learned from the Life of Abraham, and #1 on short reads. Now, granted, #1 in whatever that religion short reads is. Next picture. First picture. Okay. I want to just go back to the original tweet. Oh, there you go. Everything a man should be, 8 lessons, 8 things my father showed me that produced a blessed life. #1, now granted it is very specific, in 45-minute religion and spirituality short read. So I think it's #1 of like 6 books, but still counts. Worth getting. Next. Pastor Rodney put this up. And as usual, has no source for his tweet, but I trust him. This small area has enough oil to fuel America for the next 200 years. So that would cover where are we going, Hobbs, right? I believe. Think of that. Just there has enough oil to fuel America for the next 200 years. Next. McDonald's, this is stuff you don't see at Chick-fil-A. Take it away, inner city people. Fun fact, no one in the video has a dad. Fun fact, everyone in the video is raised by their grandma. Oh, we got McDonald's fighting back. Where's Ronald and Grimace? Just gonna let your employees fend for themselves? It would have been funny to just calmly walk up with him like, is my milkshake ready or should I come back?
The misbehaving, the disrespect, the cursing, all that stops right now.
Next. Gummy Bear, who's been banned several times, but back. I like Trump. I liked him more before he became fixated on the 2020 election, but I'm 100% Team DeSantis. He gets high marks from me for studying the science surrounding COVID and crafting appropriate policy. Totes agree. Trump didn't bother and delegated this to Fauci. That sums up, so the reason I like this tweet is it sums up how I feel. Oh, come to Papa. Sums up how I feel in one tweet. Did I have you pull the article too or not? All right, let's read the article. Should be short because it's Fox News, so it's crafted for people with brain damage. Fox News flash top headlines are here. Thanks, Steph. Thank you so much. A public opinion survey in New Hampshire, the state that for a century has held the first primary and presidential race. See, who writes this? Has held the first primary and presidential race. It's races. Fox News. Indicates that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has a razor-thin margin over former President Donald Trump in a hypothetical 2024 GOP primary matchup. According to polling numbers released on Wednesday by the University of New Hampshire, who has an average hockey team, 39% of likely Republican primary voters in the Granite State would support the first-term Florida governor, with 37% backing the former president. Respondents were provided a list of potential contenders for the 2024 GOP presidential nomination, and DeSantis' margin was well within the survey's former vice 9% for Pence, who voted. They polled it at his family's cookout. Who wants him? Go back to J.C. Penney's and buy more penny loafers. With more South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, who served as ambassador to the United Nations during the Trump administration, at 6%. The other possible Republican White House hopefuls on the list offered by the pollsters stood at 1% support or less. I'd like to know who they were. The survey suggests support among New Hampshire Republicans for DeSantis is surging. Trump held a 43 to 18% advantage in support of DeSantis the last time the UNH Survey Center asked the 2024 GOP presidential nomination preference question in October of last year. Trump topped DeSantis 47 to 19 last July, so he's closing hard. Continue. Oh, it's the coffee, Gina. Trump slipping in pre-primary polls is, boy, that would be tough if you, it's like a Daffy Duck sentence. Trump slipping in pre-primary polls is part of a typical pattern. UNH Survey Center Director Andrew Smith said, a party's losing candidate in the prior election is typically the best-known person in the party. As the primary gets closer, new candidates emerge and attract more media attention and therefore more voter attention than the losing candidate from the previous election. DeSantis has seen his popularity surging among Republican voters in the state and around the nation over the past 2 years, thanks in large part to his relentless pushback against COVID-19 restrictions amid the coronavirus pandemic, as well as his aggressive actions in the culture wars. While DeSantis has repeatedly deflected talk of a potential run for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination as he runs this year for re-election, pundits view him as a possible White House contender. Trump repeatedly teases making another presidential run in 2024. Continue. By the way, in the comments, are you a Trump or a DeSantis, if you have to pick one? Longtime New Hampshire-based national GOP consultant David Carney, who comes from a family of circus workers, pointed to the increased press coverage of DeSantis over the past year and a half. It just shows the power of earned media. Bring on TV matters, and the president's not on TV as much as he was, and DeSantis went from 18 to 37% over the past year and is certainly not from people visiting Florida, it's because of the power. Look at, they just leave out words. Noted Carney, a veteran of numerous presidential and statewide campaigns the past couple of decades. Yeah, he said that twice. We get it. He's a very seasoned pollster. It certainly shows the power of Fox News and other conservative media with primary voters, because DeSantis has had a huge footprint there on the things, or if you're from the islands, the tings that he does, and is resonating with voters just like Donald Trump did ahead of the 2016 race and during his presidency. Continue. The poll indicates DeSantis with a massive 66% net favorability among likely GOP primary voters, ahead of Trump's 46% net favorability. Another Republican politician with possible national ambitions, oh, nah, she's got no chance. And I'm saying that as someone who wanted the time machine marry her. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem stood at 35% net favorability. I don't think she's going to run. She doesn't like the national pressure. Pence, of note, stood at a negative 4% net favorability. Yeah, kiss off, Pence. You and your globalist wife. Go get a horse and go live in the mountains. Besides being the first in the nation presidential primary state, New Hampshire is also a perennial general election battleground. Trump lost the state's 4 electoral votes to Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton by a razor-thin margin. You've used razor-thin as an analogy twice in a 7-slide article. This guy gets paid to write. This should be like volunteer work or like prisoners for work release. President Biden won the state by 7 points in the 2020 election. Continue. There it is. Continue. The poll indicates Biden topping Trump 50 to 43% in New Hampshire. Really? What are you people breathing in New Hampshire? Just put your nose straight up to bus exhaust? But shows DeSantis edging Biden. Really? That's hard to believe. Really? DeSantis would only beat Biden by 1 point? Who would vote? I could see like a year and a half ago. Now? Okay, so Paul Steinhauser, it's a smart name, is the guy that wrote this awful, terribly worded, words left out, no one proofread it. Can I get a picture of Paul Steinhauser before we go off the air? Next. Let me tell you 2 things. Full screen. 2 things I'd like to know. I might have forgotten one of them, but one of the things I'd like to know. Yeah, here's the 2 things. I'd like to know why somebody would vote for Trump over DeSantis. And I'm saying that as somebody that voted for Trump in 2016 and 2020. I want to know why somebody would vote for Trump over DeSantis. I'd like to know the reason. And then B, I would like to know in that poll of likely voters why someone would vote for Biden over DeSantis. Even if you're a Democrat or a liberal, I'd like to know the reasons. What are you liking that Biden has done? And I can give you one thing that Biden's done that I like. He reduced federal spending from what Trump was doing. And that's it. How do you pick him over DeSantis? Even if you're a liberal or you voted Democrat your whole life, I'd like to know. Continue. Okay, this is the guy that wrote the article. Bad job. You owe everybody an apology. And they do sell, you can buy collars for any size neck. You don't have to just pick 15 and a half. Well, you guys nailed a bunch of pictures. Great job up there today. You guys do better in the mornings, I'm guessing. Paul, do better on your writing. I'm sure you're a good guy. Have your wife proofread your writing. Continue. Mayor Vasan came to greet all the wary parents that desperately waited 2 years for the jab, and nobody showed up. Let me see. Where's Mayor Vasan from? Somebody let me know. Vasan, V-A-S-A-N. Where is he the mayor of? No one came to see him. People are still wearing masks outdoors. Continue. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word as fisherman. Roll it.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him.
Play it 3 more times.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him.
5 more times.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him.
Give me 3 more and I won't do any more.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him.
Next. South Africa lifts all mandates. Border checks, gathering bans, all dropped. I'll end with that. I don't know what else. Did I have more? How many? 2 more? I'll do them. Wouldn't it be crazy if the people who think the world is overpopulated created a disease that primarily attacked the old and then a vaccine that, when injected into the young, inhibited reproduction? I'm telling you. She nailed it. By the way, she's the subtweet queen. Anybody that writes a pro-vaccine, pro-mask tweet, check her response underneath. The lady is great. Maybe my favorite Mormon. Next. Tied with Justin. I like that. Shall we bow our heads? Father, thank you for 40 days of glory. Thank you for moving in our nation. Thank you for moving in our lives. We give you all the glory. We give you all the praise. In Jesus' name, amen. If you've never given your life to Jesus Christ before, they're going to put a number at the bottom of the screen. I would like you to call and pray and receive Jesus Christ. If you're going through a hard time and you need somebody to pray with, 412-440-1412. If you're international, +1 412-440-1412. We would have a toll-free number, but if you're still getting tolls on calls, you might want to switch over from MCI in your plan you signed up for in 1993. I will be in Pittsburgh tonight at 7 p.m. If you've never heard me preach before, don't miss tonight. If you've ever heard me preach before, don't miss tonight. I'm going to release a message for the nation of the United States of America. It's going to be epic. It's going to be epic. 7 o'clock tonight. We got prayer coming up in just a few minutes. I will be in Lincoln, Nebraska this Friday and Saturday. 40 Days of Glory will still be going on. It'll go on in multiple locations at once. And then Sunday through Tuesday, I'll be in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'll be right here in Pittsburgh for Sunday morning church. Louisville, Kentucky, Lincoln, Nebraska, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Anybody that gives $200 or more, a nice mantelpiece, let me send it to you. Stand with me to bring the gospel of Jesus Christ to our generation. Everybody that gives $200 or more, I'm going to give you this. Anyone that gives any amount at all, I'm going to send you our 4th of July t-shirt, which you must get. If you've already got it, get it again. Do it today and you'll have it in time for the 4th of July to wear to wherever you're going on the 4th of July. Hopefully you'll spend it with me. I'll be up in Canada, RD, before long. Here's the ways to give. Easiest way. RevivalToday.com, click Give Now. That's at the top. RevivalToday.com, click Give Now. That's the easiest way. Then there's a bunch of other ways. Cryptocurrency, if you have any left. QR code. Or you can call 412-446-2332. And then if you want to mail it, Revival Today. Thanks, Sarid. Revival Today, P.O. Box 7, Prosperity, Pennsylvania, 15329. If you want to talk to a human being, 412-446-2332. Don't forget to claim your offer at revivaltoday.com. Click Claim My Offer. Don't miss tonight. 7 o'clock in Pittsburgh. Do everything you can to get here. Be a part of 40 Days of Glory. It's going to be a great one tonight, day 3. See you for prayer.
This broadcast is brought to you by Lori Hammer, nutritional therapist and neuronutrient therapy practitioner. Lori is passionate about helping a wide variety of clients by providing preventative, holistic health options through nutrition. For more information, please visit thelorihammer.com.